itself. Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the May 5th, 2025 Community Affairs and Planning Committee meeting. I will be your chair this afternoon. I'd like to call this meeting to order, and we will start with the land acknowledgement. We would like to begin this meeting by acknowledging that the land on which we gather is situated within the traditional and treaty territory of the Mississaugas. More specifically, the Mississaugas of Scugog Island First Nation, signatories of the Gunshot Treaty of 1788 and the William Treaties of 1923. This land is and will continue to be home to the Indigenous peoples. Let us acknowledge the mistakes and traumas of the past through authenticity and support truth and reconciliation. Let us engage and celebrate Indigenous communities by being leaders of action in acknowledging the United Nations Declaration on the Rights of Indigenous Peoples and the Truth and Reconciliation Commission's recommendations towards truth and reconciliation. Let us keep these principles close and as we continue towards truth and reconciliation, and as we move forward with kindness and respect as a community. Before we move to the next item, I would like to take a minute to acknowledge and speak about the Lapu Lapu Day Festival, which occurred just over a week ago on April 26th, and observe a moment of silence. Before we begin our formal agenda, I'll ask that we take a moment to acknowledge the tragedy that occurred on April 26th at the Lapu Lapu Day Festival in Vancouver. The event, in its second year, which is meant to celebrate the Filipino culture and heritage, ended with violence when a speeding vehicle claimed 11 lives and injured dozens more. As a proud Filipino Canadian, I was heartbroken by the attack, especially knowing that my own loved ones were there celebrating nearby, and one of their friends was injured by the attack, severely injured. Ajax Council has shared our condolences with the Filipino community, and today I'd like to ask everyone to pause for a moment of silence for the victims and their family and friends. Thank you. You may be seated. We will continue with our meeting. Is there any disclosure of pecuniary interest? Seeing none, may I please have a mover for the adoption of the regular minutes for the regular meeting of April 7th, 2025. I see Councillor Tyler Morin and Regional Councillor Joanne Dyes. Are there any questions or comments? Okay, let's vote, please. Thank you, and that passes. And now we are moving to the public meeting portion, item 4.1, the official plan amendment application OPA 24-A6, zoning bylaw amendment application Z9-24, draft plan of subdivision application S-A-2024-01, Based Investments Limited, 1564 Church Street North. And if I could call on Director Romanowski for opening comments, please.
Thank you, Chair. I'm going to turn it over to Sean Jeffrey, who's the planner assigned to the file, to take council through the public meeting portion of this application.
Perfect, thank you. Mr. Jeffrey, anytime you're ready, please go ahead.
Very nice in your matching red today. Thanks staff, members of the public who are here with us today as well. So my name is Sean Jeffrey. I'm the planner responsible for processing the submitted development proposal. My presentation today will provide an overview of the development proposal, outline the land use planning context, provide a staff recommendation for the application. This meeting will also serve as a statutory public meeting where residents can address staff and council with any questions that they may have. The applicant is also present today to answer any questions that you may have. The subject lands are located on the west side of Church Street North, north of the Hydro Corridor, located at the northwest portion of the town's urban boundary. The lands are surrounded by the following uses. To the north, south, and east are lands subject to draft-approved plans of subdivision, and to the west are the municipal boundaries for the city of Pickering, as well as some environmentally sensitive lands. Portions of these subject lands are located within the Toronto and Conservation Authority regulated area of the Duffins Creek watershed as it relates to the environmental features associated with the Irrfay Creek Valley. The submitted proposal follows from a master environmental servicing plan that was completed for a larger study area of which the subject lands are located. The MESP was initiated in 2017 with approval in 2022 by the TRCA and the town. Generally, the purpose of a MESP is to support large-scale development proposals within undeveloped designated greenfield areas. The MESP addresses engineering and environmental matters for the subject lands. The completion of the MESP has enabled DASTE to submit the applications. To provide the future development context of the surrounding area, a breakdown of the surrounding development proposals is provided on the screen. So the lands illustrated in green, number 1, are municipally known as 1641 Church Street North. These lands are subject to a draft-approved plan of subdivision proposing a total of 361 single-detached and street townhouse dwellings. The lands indicated in orange, number 2, are Coghlan Homes parcels, north and south of the subject lands. These lands have a draft-approved plan of subdivision for a total of 221 single-detached and townhouse dwellings. Further north, numbers 3 and 4 on the screen are parcels subject to pre-consultation applications. And these currently are proposing single-detached and townhouse dwellings. Official plan amendment, zoning bylaw amendment, and draft plan of subdivision applications have been submitted to the town by GHD on behalf of DASTE Investments Limited. The submitted draft plan of subdivision proposes to establish the necessary lots, blocks, and public right-of-ways to facilitate the development. The proposal consists of lots for 8 single-detached dwellings, a medium-density block for a future condominium townhouse development, a park block, a natural heritage system block, a public road, and associated road widening blocks. The submission of a site plan and draft plan of condominium application will be required to facilitate the proposed development of the future townhouse development block. A total of 125 dwellings are proposed. As per Schedule B of the official plan, a neighborhood park symbol is identified on the subject lands. The proposed draft plan of subdivision includes one park with an area of 0.29 hectares. The intent is to provide or to combine the proposed park block with the park block associated with the Coghlan Homes draft plan. The combined blocks will provide an approximate 0.53 hectare park. Lots with frontages of approximately 12 to 14 meters and depths of 30 meters are proposed for the single detached dwellings. The proposed detached dwellings will be 2 stories in height, and a concept plan has been provided for the condominium block, which will be accessed by a private common elements lane off of proposed Street A. The proposed townhouse dwellings will be 3 stories in height. Conceptual drawings for the dwellings are shown. It should be noted that these elevations represent designs that the applicant is exploring. However, the applicant will finalize the intended design through the site plan application. The majority of the subject lands are designated low-density residential with a small portion currently designated environmental protection within the Town of Ajax official plan. And in order to permit the proposed development block consisting of condominium townhouse dwellings, the applicant is requesting that the official plan be amended to redesignate a portion of the lands from the low-density residential designation to the medium-density residential designation. The medium-density residential designation permits the proposed townhouses and a density range of 30 to 75 units per net hectare. All dwellings within the medium-density residential shall be generally between 3 and 6 stories in height. The subject lands are currently zoned agricultural within the Town of Ajax zoning bylaw. In an urban area context within the town, the A zone is reflective of undeveloped lands. The current zoning of the subject lands is not reflective of the overarching official plan designations. To permit the development proposal, the applicant is requesting that the zoning bylaw be amended to rezone portions of the subject lands from the A zone to different residential zones with a site-specific exception to establish development standards to the environmental protection zone for long-term protection and preservation purposes as it relates to the portion of the lands outside of the development limits and to the open space zone for public parkland open space purposes. The development limits were determined through a comprehensive review process, which examined a series of environmental and technical studies in consultation with the TRCA. Vegetation protection zones from environmental features were applied to determine the environmental or the development limits. All features and their associated VPZs will be rezoned to the environmental protection zone and will be required to be conveyed to public ownership. Through the continued review and approval process of the plan, enhancements and restoration of the environmental protection lands will be required and secured for. The proposed official plan and zoning bylaw amendment applications have been reviewed against the provincial planning statement, the regional official plan, and the town's official plan. As outlined in the staff report, the proposal is consistent with these policy documents. Staff have reviewed the submitted development applications and are of the opinion that the proposed development makes efficient use of underutilized land within the town and provides for low and medium density residential intensification to help contribute towards the town and regional goal of providing a mix of housing types and sizes to serve residents of various household sizes, incomes, and ages. The proposed development will facilitate growth within the designated greenfield area of the town that is consistent with the development character of the surrounding area and that reinforces prevailing development patterns. The proposed development provides for compatible intensification that will enhance the Church Street North streetscape, as well as maintain the streetscape that has been established through existing and approved developments in the built-out portion of the surrounding area. Therefore, staff recommend approval of the development applications subject to the recommendations provided in the report and provided on the screen.
Thank you, Mr. Jeffrey. I'll ask committee first if there are any questions, and I see that Councillor Henry has her hand up. Please go ahead.
Thank you, Chair. So first question, I only have two. First question is with regards, I'm noticing in the report on page 8 of your report, page 13 of the CAP meeting report, there's a mention of a new school being built in the area. And the school you're referring to is already filled to capacity at this point without it even being open. They have more than 7 portables, I believe, at this time. And students who are immediately in the area currently right now are able to attend if they are on the west side of Church, but if you're on the east side of Church, north of Roslyn, in the Canton Lane area, those students are not allowed to walk across the street and attend the new school because it is acting as a feeder school for Pickering as well, because just on the other side to the west is a whole development that those children needed a school. So that was the compromise DDSB did. So with this new development, I guess my question is, where are these children going to go to school?
Okay. Through the chair to you, Councillor Henry. The DDSB was circulated back in, what's the date here? I believe it was September 2024 through the circulation of these applications and the review. Their comments at that time were that approximately 41 elementary pupils, 24 secondary pupils could be generated from this development, and that students generated from the development would attend existing neighborhood schools until a time that a school was constructed. So at this time, they would be bused elsewhere with the intention that a school would seemingly be provided in the future.
Okay, so it's good that we've had that consultation with the DDSB, because sometimes we find out afterwards that they're unaware of things, so thank you, I appreciate that. My next question, and I just want you to dive in a little bit more. You mentioned something about space being given over to the, converted into a public space, part of this land, and I take it this is the environmentally protected land where the majority of trees are on this land, correct? And there's very little trees, I take it, on this one particular block. Other blocks there are in your presentation, but we're not talking about those today.
Through the chair to you, Councillor Henry. So I don't know if we can pull up the presentation back on the screen here. I'll slide through a few of the slides here. So first one here shows aerial imagery of the subject lands, and you can see this. You can see it's largely meadowlands with a bit of environmental features along the western side. In consultation with the TRCA, those lands to the west were staked out. Buffers were established. So if I slide over to, this slightly does it justice, but you'll kind of see all of these lands to the west of the single detached lots are proposed to be, starting from this line here, are proposed to be conveyed to the TRCA. And this does kind of encapsulate all of those environmental lands that you do see on the aerial imagery. Elsewhere on the site, there are 30 trees that are proposed to be cut to make way for this development, but it's largely planted cedars.
Oh, okay. And so do we have what's our policy if we're cutting down any type of greenery?
So trees are required to be accommodated for. There's either financial or through compensation tree plantings. So that definitely will be factored into the development proposal.
And because they're cedars, they're smaller, correct?
It goes by the diameter of the tree.
Yes.
So depending on how large the tree is, there's a whole calculation that we determine how many trees are required to accommodate for those trees.
Okay. And our planning department is satisfied with how this will be handled as far as the replacement of any trees?
Yes, absolutely. There's plenty of space to accommodate tree plantings, and there will be restoration plantings along the western side where the TRCA lands are, so they will be improved from their current state.
Excellent. Okay. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Are there any other questions from the committee? Okay, seeing none, I just have one, Mr. Jeffrey. Can you please tell us, we talk about the neighborhood parks, I think it's page 17 of the report or 22 of the agenda. So can you just please explain how long or how many years or how many homes have to be built before the parks are actually constructed?
So there's a bit of phasing involved with the lands being kind of related with Coghlan Homes there. The park, maybe I'm actually going to direct this over to, yep.
The park block that we're dealing with is actually across 2 draft plans of subdivision. So because of that, there may be a bit of a delay before we actually see it come to the town. So it could be a combination of perhaps one of the phases of the one development proposal gets built before we see anything. So I don't really have an exact time. It could be a few years, but typically what happens is once they get all their final approvals, the lands will be conveyed to the town, and then they'll do kind of rough grading of the lands, put in any utilities that have to go to the park block, and then we would make like a capital project to actually build out a parkette, put whatever services we want to put in there, community facilities.
And may I just, you'll see that through the budget process, and that'll come through Andrew Jackson's group in operations for park design,
Right.
layout. But the developers, as Eric was mentioning, they have to provide the land to a certain state. Like it has to be pre-graded. Services have to be to the property line. It has to have electrical service, et cetera. And that'll have to be coordinated between the two draft plans through the conditions of approval.
Okay. Okay, thank you very much. And I asked that because I know there are other developments in the town, in Ward 3 in particular, I'm thinking, where it's not fully completed and residents are moved in, but it's taking quite some time to get some parks. So I just wanted to know. So I guess because it's two different developers, it really will require some coordination and cooperation to get that done. Okay, thank you very much for that. Seeing no other questions, this is a public meeting. Are there any members of the public here who would like to pose questions or make comments on the project? I don't see any, and I'll ask the clerks if there's anyone online.
To the
Okay.
chair, no one online.
Thank you. Okay, I'll just give it 10 more seconds in case someone barges in. Okay, thank you very much. Appreciate that. So we'll close the public portion of the meeting, and now I will ask if the owner is here, the proponent, either here in person or online, and would like to make any comments?
The applicant is here on behalf of the owner, but I communicated that they didn't need to prepare for presentation, but they could be present for questions to be answered if any were available.
Thank you. Does the committee have any questions for the applicant? Okay, seeing none, thank you very much for coming today. Okay, so let's vote then. The resolution moved by Councillor Henry and seconded by Councillor Tyler Morin. The official plan amendment OPA 24-A6 be endorsed, and that implementing official plan amendment number 88 as provided in attachment 1 to the report be considered for approval by council at its meeting on May 20th, 2025. That zoning bylaw amendment application Z9-24 be endorsed, and that the implementing zoning bylaw as provided in attachment 2 to the report be considered for approval by council at its meeting on May 20th, 2025, that draft plan of subdivision application S-A-2024-01 be approved, subject to the conditions of draft approval, substantially approved, provided in attachment 3 to the report, and that the Director of Planning and Development Services or the designate be authorized to grant draft approval of the future draft plan of common elements condominium application that may be required to facilitate the future development of a portion of the subject lands. Any questions or comments? And I see Regional Councillor Lee. Go ahead.
First question is, could you read that again? No, I'm teasing, sorry. Thank you, Chair. I just thought of a question. I'm not sure who this goes to. When will construction start approximately for a project like this? I know we're just doing the bylaws right now, but when do we hope to start putting shovels in the ground?
That would be for the applicant to
Would the applicant be able to come back up and answer the question then?
Hello, good afternoon, councillors and staff. Again, just want to say appreciate everyone's time to look at this. As our project is, and let me introduce myself, my name is Christian Jatan, registered professional planner with GHD on behalf of the owner. Our project is kind of a key within a large, or a puzzle piece in a larger development. So as the other developments kind of come online and the roads are built, we'll be able to do our standard grading and get in there. So I don't have an exact timeline. We still have to do site plan control. So we're looking at least 2+ years. But that's just
Before
rough.
shovels are in the ground, about 2.5. What you're saying is you need to wait for like Lakeview, for example, to kind of finish, and then what? Like why aren't they on the other side? Like why is one dependent on the other?
No, the land's to the south. So
Oh, excuse me. Yes.
our site, our frontage has a window street and some townhouses right on the the frontage of the right-of-way of Church Street, but we can't really access the property to do anything really. So our main road will be the right-of-way block adjacent to the park. So that'll be to the west of the park block. So, the major construction will happen when the developments to the north and the south are more completed. So once those are completed and we have our site plan control in hand, I would estimate probably a 2-year window from that point.
Okay, that's very helpful. Thank you. I guess last question to the Director of Planning. Would this be one of the last areas we are building town and detached homes? I can't think of any other areas where we would still have space.
Through the chair to Councillor Lee, there could be other areas where we build singles in towns. There could be areas within neighborhoods that could be redeveloped, but what I would say is this is our last greenfield area within the town where we would be doing like OPA, ZBA, draft plan of subdivision and condo. So yes, this is kind of like the northwest corner of the town is the last greenfield.
Last piece, so to speak.
Last piece of greenfield development, yeah.
This is historic. Okay, great. All joking aside, it does kind of fit everything else that is being built there. I just, because we're in a housing crunch, hope we can kind of build sooner than later. So thank you, Chair, for the questions.
Thank you, and I see that Councillor Henry has pushed the button, so please go ahead.
Thank you. Through the chair to the applicant's proponent, the proponent's planner, sorry, if I could ask another question. I want to be crystal clear here. This development will be done by the owner of the property, correct? This is not coming forward and then the property is going to be sold and then we're going to have to wait a couple more years and then somebody else may perhaps think about doing it. This is going to happen, right?
That is my understanding. This is the owners, David Brand Group. They do many developments in Durham region. They're a quality builder and developer. So my understanding is they have no plans on flipping the property. But we have a lot of economic turmoil coming our way from our neighbors to the south. I don't have a crystal ball. I don't have an answer to that officially. So I'm just going to say I assume no. But
From everything you know at this point in time, this is going to go forward.
that is my understanding.
Excellent. Okay, I'll take that. Thank you.
Okay.
That's it. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much, and thank you to the applicant for answering our questions. Okay, no other comments or questions about the resolution, so let's open the vote, please. And that passes. Thank you very much. Section 5 of the agenda, presentation and reports. There are none today, so we'll move right to adjournment. And I have moved by Regional Councillor Crawford, seconded by Regional Councillor Lee, that the May 5th, 2025 meeting of Community Affairs and Planning Committee be adjourned. Any questions or comments? And let's open the vote, please.